Hi, I'm Dan, and I just went on a date with the devil. Today we are discussing Okja. I think that's how you say it.
Okja.
Okjas. So this is a Netflix original film from the director of Snowpiercer, a critically acclaimed cult film.
Is it a cult film?
I would consider it a cult film.
I never know what a cult film actually is.
I would consider it that because it's critically acclaimed, but not that many people saw it. And
okay.
I would even argue that most people don't even know what it is.
In my experience of trying to tell people about Okja,
That's
nobody
true.
knows what any of these things are. I just say, hey, it's a new movie that's coming onto Netflix from a guy who made a different movie.
It's cool.
He's Korean, South Korean. And people are like, oh, okay.
So we were lucky enough, we had the fun experience of being able to see this movie in the theater.
We were so lucky to have that.
Yes.
The line was really long to get it because it was a free screening.
Yeah. It was very exciting.
Theater, tiny.
Yeah. So, what did you think?
So my expectations were pretty high, just going into it. You know,
You were a fan of Snowpiercer.
I was a huge fan of Snowpiercer, and I was like, okay, I am not going to miss the train on this one. No pun intended.
Wow.
No pun intended.
Wow.
No pun intended.
That was a hell of a pun.
I wish it was on purpose, but I can't take that credit. But yeah, so I felt like I had missed out by not knowing about Snowpiercer really until one day I was like at home with my mom and we were like, oh, this movie is starring Chris Evans. Let's watch it on demand. And
He's a hugsicle.
Yeah. Critically acclaimed hugsicle. But the point is that I was watching it and I was like, oh man, I wish I saw this one when it was in the zeitgeist more, like when it was first coming out.
So what did you think of it?
Which one? I'm sorry, I'm so excited. I thought it was really, really good. And it just had this more personal touch to it that I appreciated for the most part. So I would put it in the good category.
Yeah, not the great.
Not the great, but it felt more heartwarming than Snowpiercer did. Again, no pun intended. So what did you think?
Well, so I'm going to sort of break tradition here and say my skull rating from off the bat.
Whoa.
I'm in the 3 to 3.5 out of 5 range. I don't, depending on what you thought, I was trying to decide between the two. I don't know, are you higher or lower than that? Does that seem about right to you?
I'm in the 3.5 to 4. I think I'm closer to 4. I'm comfortable putting it at 4.
Can we just say 3.5 to even it out to get one score together?
So you're saying you want to make a deal with it? We'll figure out what you're going to offer me later. But yeah, okay, we can put it at 3.5.
So to me, it's a 3.5 because I think there are 5-star moments in this, but they're mostly in the first third. I think that the main character, Mija, and her connection with Okja, the super pig, is really strong, and that the visuals are amazing at the beginning, and that their emotional connection is so good. And then as soon as they get separated, I think what's going on there is nowhere near as interesting. And there are still good moments after that, but I feel like we lose the heart of the film for the majority of the film.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I realize that what I would call the second act was probably the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of chunks. Like, I mean, if you that was the largest third, longest third.
Yeah.
And thinking back to it, it doesn't feel that way because almost like so little happened. / I didn't feel that emotional connection to it as much. And you're right, that's the problem, because the things that stand out to me are those like 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5 moments. But it got bogged down in these character. Honestly, I think it was not just a story problem. I think it was like a character problem.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I left that 2-hour movie feeling like it was way too short, which does not happen very often.
Right.
I think I felt that way because I felt there was a promise at the beginning of the movie with Mija, not even just with her with Okja, but also with her being a badass at the beginning.
Right.
That was then dropped in favor of another movie. and then there were pieces of bringing that back, but we went off in this whole other thing. And again, I wouldn't say that it was all bad, but to me, the beginning was so good. And I was still, like, for me, the most interesting thing, like, maybe the most interesting scene of the entire movie is Mija leaving to go after Okja and her argument with her grandfather, who then is gone the rest of the movie.
Well,
I think
he came back in the second act for, like, a little bit.
Did he? I don't remember now.
Yeah, so he was in the airport with her, and she was being whisked away, and then at the very end.
Okay, well, I'm bringing gone is what I meant. He's not a force of a character in the movie. Like, there's no conflict with him anymore. Like,
right.
I think he might have been the most interesting character.
The most what?
Most interesting character.
Interesting. Okay.
And my reason for that is that he was so not the stereotypical grandfather character. That he... What?
I'm just, like... It's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Because for me...
He was that?
I mean, he very much, frankly, despite being very different culturally, it reminded me somewhat of my grandfather.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, like, it's a very non-Western idea of what a patriarch is.
Yes. So just so you know, the devil, not Western. I know it's hard to believe.
Right. Fully Eastern? That's wrong, too. Whatever.
Yeah.
The devil is Eastern European, guys. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, given our current state of political affairs in the United States, but yeah. Surprise! Scoop! Okay.
Yes, the Eastern European, and now it resides in the United States.
Surprise! You knew this.
Anyway,
digressing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't say that he was... Just because... But... So I might not have would have ever considered him as the most interesting character, but now that you say that, I'm like... He was so... Working on such a different scale than the rest of the... characters, but I think that's part of that is because every grouping of characters was working on its own scale.
Yeah. Well, so my reason for thinking that he's the most interesting is because you expect him to just be kind, just give out wise advice, be her helper, die tragically setting her off on her journey, whatever.
Right.
And the fact that he does love her, is a generally good guy, but, like, effectively, like, manipulated her and worked against her and disappointed her, I thought was really interesting. And also that he
survives.
Well, yeah, but also, I'm just saying, as far as that beginning thing, that he didn't really like that he was spending so much time with Okja, that he wanted her to, like, sort of grow up and be a real kid, whatever you want.
Turn into a young adult.
Young adult. And that he kind of just, like, she's a pig, she's gonna die and get eaten.
Right.
I thought was really interesting.
You're right about that, but the bigger thing, getting back to the mortality, is usually these characters, they either have, like, they often have a redeeming moment.
Yeah.
Where they're like, and that would involve a sacrifice, or at the very least, an admission of wrong.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen.
No.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I still think he's great. I still think the first third is great. I think that the whole chase scene after Okja at the beginning, I think
the mall, underground
the
mall
scene. Thing. The cinematography here is great. What did you think of Okja herself?
I thought they did a really good job with CGI.
Yeah.
I don't think they fell into that. Like, she was cute. I think she was very cute.
Yeah, definitely.
And they also didn't fall into that uncanny valley of, like, there's something wrong with the eyes. Like, they captured Okja's intelligence and her relationship to Mija basically exclusively through these very human-esque movements, and I think that came down to good audio design and good CGI. Yeah,
well, and I think also, good animation, because the way that Okja moved, to me, was the most amazing part.
Yeah.
The way that, it would jump, and that the whole thing with her sleeping and it turns over and she turns over together. Yeah. The whole opening there of the quick little moments of how they connect, I thought was miraculous.
Yeah.
I thought it was so amazing. And then we go off in this whole thing and we're bringing... So let's talk about how we have this very heartful, warm thing, also with this intense story about animal cruelty and stuff like that, mixed with this absurdity element, where we get characters like Dr. Wilcox from, now I'm forgetting his name, Jake Gyllenhaal, and...
Jake Gyllenhaal was just so what the fuck in this movie.
And Lucy from Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. Slash Nancy.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Let's hit Wilcox real quick. What did you think? Did you like him? Do you think Gyllenhaal did a good performance here? Because there's a lot of controversy about this. A lot of debate.
Yeah. So this is, I actually want to get back to this point about, I feel like there was a weird time. This is where I thought the weird timing thing didn't make sense.
Pacing.
Thank you. Didn't work as well for me because I feel like I didn't spend the right distribution of time with the right characters. Like, in a way, and I think part of it is because, for whatever reason, maybe it was because the actors wanted to feel challenged by the role. Maybe it's because they wanted to have fun with it. Maybe there wasn't just, like, even a strict story that they wanted to tell. I don't know. But I think that there was a lot of ridiculousness for ridiculousness' sake.
Theatricality, caricature, qualities.
And I appreciated that, not to hammer this point to death, but, like, I appreciated that in Snowpiercer, where I was like, I've never seen ridiculousness play such a wonderful part of the story and development of the characters, and it served a function. I don't think it served as much of a function in Okja, and it felt like, while I could see it and be like, wow, this is a challenge for the actor, wow, this is really different, and he's not playing a leading man or charming, he's hateful and whatever. And Tilda Swinton is, she likes playing weird, but she's like, oh, it's a different shade of weird. I'm like, not really. This is like for actors, not for the audience.
It felt like, to me, and I think it was also for the director, because I think the director likes mixing seriousness with absurdity.
Of course.
Which I think, again, worked better with just the innate premise of Snowpiercer. Here, I think the base premise and the setup of Okja and Mija is so, even though it's ridiculous, it's so grounded and human, that then contrasting it so intensely with both of these two characters, and then, I mean, I don't know screen time wise, but it feels like spending more time with the ridiculous than with the heart. Really hurt it for me. Also, that I think you could have had either Dr. Wilcox or
Nancy / Lucy. I agree completely. That is my estimation, because I feel like with the, I never get the acronym right, but the Paul Dano, Stephen Yeun, like the Animal Freedom...
ALF.
Animal Liberation Front, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Whatever. The ALF. They had those touches of ridiculous to them. And weird and eccentric. But were still grounded in their mission. Like, they still made sense.
No, I liked them. I think that they worked. I think my only real feeling was that they added to, we're not spending enough time with the people I wanted to spend. It was the combination of them with the Miranda Corporation people was too much.
Right. So I feel like I'm willing to give them the leeway and group them more in with Mija and being grounded enough. But it's, again, this time distribution where I'm like, no, spend more time with Mija and Okja, spend more time with them, and choose one, either Jake Gyllenhaal or Tilda Swinton.
Well,
it didn't work.
The other thing about it is that, so I generally, I feel kind of neutral about Tilda Swinton's performance. I don't have any, I didn't think it was bad, I didn't think it was good, I just like, whatever, I'll watch it, whatever. Jake Gyllenhaal, I think I mostly enjoyed. I thought the humor mostly worked. I was fine watching him, I thought he was a somewhat interesting character. But I didn't want to see him that much, and I never connected with him because he was so absurd. And then the other thing I want to say is that this movie seems like a movie with a message, and I think making it that absurd drowns the message a little bit, because then they don't feel like at all, this doesn't feel as much based in reality.
I don't agree as much.
Okay.
I think that it was to kind of demonstrate, I think it was actually pretty effective in how it demonstrated, like, this is, I think, why he uses ridiculousness or eccentricity is with these messages, is that he's like, you want to write this off because of the eccentricity, but you know something about you, like, something in there connects. And you want to say this is fantasy or believe in the fantasy, but you can't deny it, and you know that it's like this imbalance that
Yeah.
he plays with. That
That's a fair
I
point.
think that it drives home
Yeah.
in this case, like kind of the accepted hidden horror of mass production of our food and our meat. And they kind of even say the thesis of like, they don't want to know where the food comes from. They don't want to, they just want to believe it's natural, and they don't want to see what's actually happening. They don't want to connect.
Well, yeah, so I did think that at some points they made the villains somewhat sympathetic and understandable, because that they were kind of in a hard place to begin with based on what people wanted.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. I just think I think you're making a very good point. That's probably what the director wanted, and kudos to them for attempting that. I think personally it doesn't work that well. I'm just like, I just feel like I'm in a different zone. I just feel taken out of the movie and then put back in the movie and then taken out of the movie. You know, like it's a weird thing. Not to say that I don't think the message worked in this movie. Right. I want to talk about did you walk this in? Did it affect your feelings about animal cruelty? Did it affect your feelings about not being a vegetarian, being a carnivore? Like what were you feeling watching
I am
this?
A proud carnivore. But I can't say that like food issues and food inequality is one of those things. But like, while I have had opportunities to get educated about it and watch documentaries and be around people for whom things like this even are demonstrated, for it's their passion to be activists on it.
Yeah.
I've never really taken it on as one of my causes.
Yeah.
But I have to put myself in the shoes of that mass consumer.
Yeah.
Where every time I go out and I go to the grocery store and buy meat, I am 95% of the time tuning out what this means. Like, it might as well be a vegetable to me.
Yeah.
And I don't... And this movie, actually, I do think that it has lately, over the last few days, it has been on my mind. The fact that I'm like... No, this is a creature, this is a thing, and it's a two-faced front of, like, what the hell am I eating? What am I putting in my body? What do they do with it? And they say it's natural.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, I can't afford organic. The devil's cheap. Okay?
Well, it's interesting, because I'm almost like, I don't... That's a good point. Because I wasn't that focused on the specifics of, it's natural. To me, I was just like, you're killing a living creature. But this movie, I think, is interesting because I was definitely taking note, especially when I went back and rewatched a little bit of it on Netflix, and the fact that the grandfather and Mija eat meat.
And fish.
They eat chicken. He has chickens that they clearly,
her favorite food is chicken soup.
Yeah, at the beginning, she wants fish stew.
Yeah.
There's nothing clear at the end of it that they're not doing. I mean, they still have the chickens. There's nothing clearly saying that they changed their ways or anything. And it definitely feels to me that Mija doesn't care about this cause. She cares about Okja. Yes, she sees this, and maybe she realizes there's something bigger going on here, but she's in this for selfish reasons. Understandable selfish reasons, human selfish reasons, but she's not the ALF member. She's not taking on the man.
Yeah.
And that's why for her mission's like, yes, she feels something, she learns something, whatever, but she ends the movie not joining a crusade to take this down. She's like, well, that was fucked up, but at least I got Okja.
While I agree that, yes, this was still her mission, her journey through the slaughterhouse and her act of saving the little super pig cub, piglet, whatever, I think that was to show that, there's a way of being, just taking what you need, if that makes sense. And that's what she does with... She demonstrates that when she's fishing. There's a little fish, a baby fish. She throws it back. Yeah. Like, it's this sustainability, this, like, she's not cruel about it. It's what it takes to survive. Yeah. And she and her grandfather, they do live off the land. Yeah, they do live a natural lifestyle. Yeah. That's one of the reasons Okja got so big and healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's this dichotomy that's being played of, you can go too far, like the ALF, like that one character, Silver, played by Devin Bostic, for 100 fans. That he's like, I want to make as little imprint on the world as possible. Yeah. And he's doing it by, like, barely eating any food and just, like, starving himself. Yeah. And I think that's kind of almost the dichotomy we face in the West, in the developed world, I should say, is that it's like, for us, our imprint is so global and on such a large scale in urban cities, especially, or in an urban setting, versus like this rural setting where really all they do is just take what you need.
Yeah.
And their footprint is small.
Yeah.
But if you're living this like developed world lifestyle, your imprint for the same amount of food, based on how it gets to you and where you are in the world, it's going to be bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is something the more I think about it, the more there are layers.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think you have some great points. I just don't know. I don't know that at the beginning of the movie she wouldn't have saved the little pig if she could. You know, like, I just think, like, I don't know that I feel like she had a major change, or even that she necessarily had a problem. Like, that's the thing, is, like, I think she's interesting, but I don't think that I think that they barely scratched the surface with her. That's the thing. Like, that, I think that was the problem. Was that, like, this is an amazing, interesting setup. Mm-hmm. Where does she go? I don't feel like she really goes much of anywhere, because I think, okay, especially because when you bring up the thing that she threw out the little fish at the beginning, that she wasn't someone who was wasteful or whatever, and that she was just a caring, good person. At the same time, but I just don't feel like, but she also was a selfish person, so I feel like he was in that balance where it's like, he really was in this to bring Okja home, and I think that that's very clear when the LF people are like, "Oh, can we do this?" And she says, "I want to go home with him," and because he matters to her more than she matters to her more than anything else. There's almost like a Last of Us kind of thing there, right? Where they have such a bond that nothing else matters more than that to her, and that is her number one priority, is to get back to her dream life. Within that, I still think she's a good person, and that's why she would do stuff like throw the fish back or bring the pig. But I don't know. I think you're making some great points, but I also still feel like there's some things off about this.
I agree, but you know what I'm realizing now? Yeah. At the end of the day, there is no change. Like, the status quo remains 100% the same. Yeah. Genuinely, before the movie, whatever it's called, not Monsanto, that's the real company, but whatever. Mirando. Yeah. I just realized Monsanto, Mirando, for those who don't know, Monsanto is a big, like, company that produces food and GMOs. It's a bait. So, they were, prior to Lucy, like, evil company, sewage, all of this. And she's trying to change their image, but in real life, they're producing these super pigs. Yeah. Through manipulation. Yeah. Mija's life is on this farm with Okja. Yeah. And the ALF, they've been around since the 70s or whatever, and they're failing to make sustainable change, really. They're doing, like, such bullshit work. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, Lucy fails. It goes back to Nancy Mirando, and they go back to being devious and not even caring about lying anymore. They're like, this is where your food comes from. Go fuck yourself, eat it. People do eat it. Yeah. Mija's back on the farm with Okja and her grandfather. Yeah. And the ALF, in a surprise scene at the end,
post-credits,
stick around for that if you watch it on Netflix. Yeah. They are just as, like, kind of dumb as always and, like, hapless. Yeah. So it's this thing of, like, man, the things that took place in this movie just kind of scarred the characters, and that's about it.
I think that's definitely an interesting choice. That's the thing, is I think that there's some great stuff in here. I guess I feel like it's lesser than the sum of its parts, maybe, is the problem for me.
Really?
Yeah, well, because I think that you're saying good things, but I feel like when I walked the thing all together, it just felt like a mishmash a little bit too much. Or, again, I think that there's something as an interesting choice, and having Mija end up not that different, or having everything turn out the same in the end, but in order for me to really feel like that's interesting, I feel like you have to make me feel like, oh, he's going to change, but no, at the end, like, I just feel like I just barely saw her, and I barely scratched the surface with who she was, other than that she really, really cared about,
the more we talk about it, the more I'm disappointed by the second act. Yeah. Where now, as we say, so for me, Lucy and Nancy, that whole thing, I didn't like that as much as Jake Gyllenhaal's performance.
Yeah. I thought that it was a great point you made about we didn't need Nancy at all.
Yeah, or like Lucy could have turned into Nancy at the end and we would have been fine with it.
What do you mean?
Like Lucy could have taken on, like, become evil or whatever, corporate, more corporate.
Off screen, you had mentioned that Giancarlo Esposito's character could have just been Nancy instead, like that her role. Like, he could have just taken over from Lucy.
Like, why have him in this movie and not use him?
Yeah, he basically did nothing.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, so while I didn't love her performance as either character.
Yeah.
In this, I was like, you're just doing more of the same. Like, you have weird teeth. That's Snowpiercer Part 2.
Yeah.
And I like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance more. As we're discussing this, I'm like, he played less of a part in the grander scheme of what I see as like the thesis or the message. Like, I don't really know what his thing. Well, what to take away from him. My
feeling with him is that he's one of the few characters where I don't even have I don't have a handle on that, but I don't think that that's the film's problem. I think that might be my problem. I think there is something interesting going on with him that I have not fully grasped.
I could feel the layers in it, like his and like jealousy and a few other maybe I'm not grasping everything, but it's like his problems are just so minor compared to what I see as everybody else's.
Yeah.
That while I liked seeing him, I do now feel like he was just a distraction.
Yeah, I don't know. The scene with him, with Okja in the torture chamber, it felt like there was something big going on there. I feel like I need to rewatch it.
I feel the same.
Yeah, so let us know what you think.
I'm an animal lover. Like, I'm sorry this is going to hurt. And then... And I'm like, okay, I don't feel bad for you, though. Yeah. Like, you haven't earned it.
But I don't know that or you're supposed to feel bad for him as much as it's supposed to signify what we do to people as a society or something like that.
Or to animals. Yeah. Like, we say we're animal lovers.
Or even to him as like, bringing him down from, like, I don't know. I feel like I need to re-examine that, and I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments as far as what Wilcox was what the idea of Wilcox is saying. I do want to say, because I never answered for myself as far as the carnivore thing.
Right. Sorry. I took over on that.
It definitely made me think. I'm not someone who really cares generally about animal cruelty stuff. It's not something that, like, in general, I don't really connect with animals in general. I've never had any pets, and I understand people's connections with their pets. I'm not like, go fuck them all, but I'm also like, we're killing them either way.
Right.
That's how I generally feel. Now, this movie made me think about that more, and I appreciate that, and I think I will stick with me. And it made me feel bad about eating meat. At this point in my life, I feel so rooted in it, so I just can't imagine stopping. I can't imagine, and I feel bad about that, but I know me, I'm not going to.
I actually, just like kind of on a side note, like, I've been like, oh, I should probably eat less meat, like less of an imprint, and just also like for health and reasons. I'm like, I eat too much meat. My family does. And I tried to go meatless a little bit more, and my family's like, why are you doing that? And I think it's this perspective of like, almost like you're not full unless you've eaten meat. Like you're not getting your nutrient. Like you're not. It's almost not. I don't want to put starvation mode because no one in my family is starving in this country. But the point is of like, it's not a meal unless there's something animal, an animal product in it at the very least.
I don't know. I just think humans are meant to eat meat. That's just how I believe.
I think that, but the thing is, I think humans are meant to eat meat the way that Mija and her grandfather eat meat, and instead we process the shit out of our food, and it's tough. And I think this movie is definitely going to make me think about it.
You know what? It's interesting is because I just realized that my my sort of feeling that I was saying earlier is like you're killing them either way.
Right.
What does it matter? Is why I didn't catch on to what they were saying with Mija and her grandfather. Because to me, I was like, oh, they're up on their high horse. They care so much about animals, but they're eating them anyway. Because I was like, well, either way, if you care so much about Okja, why are you eating these other animals and thinking that they don't matter as much as Okja? But
part of it is intelligence, I think.
Yeah, I think clearly I want to throw out also the opening scene with Okja saving her.
Right. Oh my god, that was so good.
So great. And so I do think it's partially intelligence, but I also do I liked your point about that they take what they need and not anything else.
Chickens are roaming in their yard until the day they're butchered. The fish are swimming in a natural pond until they're fished out.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not, again, this is not something I research or care. It's just not something I care about.
This is something that I'm just realizing for discussion. So, you know, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, wow, there really was an impact that this movie left on me, because at first I walked out and was like, I love Mija, I love Okja, and I wish the ALF had more on-screen time. Yeah. But now I'm like...
I don't even understand. I didn't even understand why there were so many of them, because half of them barely did anything.
Half of them, they were just, like, in the crowd, like, look, secretly there are so many.
Yeah. They had, like, actual actors playing them, though, so that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of cut you off. What were you saying? You love Mija, you love Okja, but...
Yeah, but I didn't, like, that was my takeaway as we left the movie. Yeah. And now that I'm actually being, like, put on the spot to discuss it, I'm like, oh, whoa, there's so much to this. I'm actually feeling more than that I didn't realize before. Yeah. But I can see how you might not.
Yeah.
Like, I can see how that can happen.
That's the thing. I do feel like I felt a lot about this, and I do think this had an impact. That's why rating is hard. Rating is hard, because I can understand... And especially when you talk about, like, we rated, I'm, you know, at least me personally, I'm rating Wonder Woman and Baby Driver higher than this, and I think this has more of an impact than either of those movies, definitely.
Right.
But I think that they succeeded more at what they were setting out to do, whereas to me, this had lofty goals, and maybe it did hit them to some degree. I think the movie itself did not fully work, and that it's aiming to be a high piece of art. Yeah. And I don't think that it landed on that. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's a 3.5. But while still saying go see it, it's worth watching, especially because it's on Netflix and you can watch it for free.
It's so it's one of those things. It's like the easiest thing you can do is watch this movie. Yeah. And I don't think that it will necessarily leave a bad taste in your mouth. Like, for all these serious, heavy topics.
It'll taste like some good meat.
Alright, anyway, it won't, like, leave you feeling, like, despair. Mm-hmm. I think I felt some hope, but I think it was almost like misplaced hope. Like, you're not supposed to feel hopeful. You're supposed to feel, like, kind of happy, because in a way it has a happy ending, but, like, it's a thing of...
It's a bittersweet ending.
It's a bittersweet ending, but I don't think that it's as bitter as maybe you would think that you would feel.
Yeah, well, and I think... I also think as far as going against the norm, them not liberating everyone and taking the company down is a really worthwhile thing to talk about. That's why I think the beginning and the end are very solid. Yeah. I just think the middle was a lot of stuff.
It's just a mishmash. Yeah. The pacing was off.
Yeah. I also want to throw out that, especially in that, like, big, like, that sequence, that, like, chase sequence with the trucks and everything, I was like, this really feels like an anime or, like, some sort of adult cartoon. Like, the way that they were mixing absurdity while also being serious and adult, I thought was very cartoon.
That's what I love and expect from this director of, like, it's serious, but it's entertaining, and it's hilarious, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. But I'm genuinely rooting for the characters that I care about, because it's being made genuine by the performances and the progression. Yeah. And then I feel like it lost that genuine part of it in the middle.
Or at least that I think that the balance, and again, this is so subjective, that I think I no matter what, I appreciate the tonal attempt. But to me, it was he didn't hit the mark this time.
Not fully. Yeah. No.
All right, those are. And you have anything else you want to throw in?
No, I'm just now I'm really realizing how many thoughts I have about it, and I want to rewatch it actually. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please check out Okja on Netflix. Please comment down below, subscribe to our channel, watch our other videos, and we'll be back on our next date.
And we'll see you in hell.